So Facebook Home just came out yesterday, and I really liked it, but I wanted to use my default launcher as my default launcher, and maybe use Facebook Home as a secondary launcher. So I figured out a way to accomplish this, and I'm going to go through it with you. So the way to do this is to set up, you're going to need 3 apps to do this first. We're going to need Facebook Home, of course, then Twisted Home Manager, and then NoLock. So when you first download Facebook Home, you're going to be greeted with this screen right here. It's going to say to use Facebook Home as your default launcher, or use your default launcher as your default launcher. So we're going to select Facebook Home as our new default launcher. So here's Facebook Home, and you can swipe through your news feed and maybe like an article by double tapping. You like it. You can leave a message. You can look at comments. Or you can pull up your profile picture by a single tap. And once you pull up your profile picture, it's going to show you your messaging app, your last used app, or your app tray. So we're going to want to go into the app tray. Once you're in the app tray, this should pop up. This is basically your home screen in Facebook Home. So these are your home screens. So in your main home screen, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put an app that's located in the bottom of your app drawer. This app is called More. And we're going to put it on your main home shortcuts, I guess, in your Facebook launcher. So now when you press home, you're back into Facebook Home. Now to get into your actual launcher, your default launcher, all you have to do is press apps and then more. And now you are in your default launcher, your typical launcher, not your default launcher. So you can use your default launcher like you normally would, but every time you press home, this is the one drawback of this feature, you are going to be brought to Facebook Home and you're going to have to press more again. And now you're back in your home. So it adds one step to get back into your typical launcher. Rather than just pressing home and landing here, when you're in an app, you're going to have to press home and then more. And now you're here again. So that's how to bypass basically Facebook Home quickly to get to your main typical launcher. Now that does not disable your lock screen. So let me show you. When you lock your phone, your regular lock screen will still pop up. And you put in your password and you get in. Now, if you want to shut off your lock screen completely, you have to use this app I told you to download, NoLock. You click in, you press that, and that's as simple as it is to disable your default lock screen. So, now, when using Facebook Home as your default launcher, you shut off the phone, you turn it on, and it's like your lock screen. You press apps, and you press more, and now you're into your home screen. So that's how you use Facebook Home as basically a lock screen replacement. It does add one button push to get back to your main screen in whatever you're doing. So you press home and then more. But the addition you get is that you get to use Facebook Home as a sort of lock screen replacement, and you get to use the features of Facebook Home And yeah, that's the way to bypass Facebook Home easily. So apps, more, home. So yeah, that's what I want to show you. Now there's another way to use Facebook Home, and to use it as more of an app rather than a lock screen, or yeah. So we're gonna use Twisted Home Manager to clear the defaults in our launchers, and that's how you do that. Now we're going to select our main launcher, our typical launcher, as our default launcher. So when you use apps, you're never going to see Facebook Home. Oops, I used Pandora. The music is going to start real quick because I pressed Pandora. 1 second. Okay. So you can use Facebook Home. You don't have to ever see Facebook Home. And if you want to use Facebook Home, you click on Facebook Home. And then you use Facebook Home for a second. Press Home again. This is the only drawback with this feature. It's always going to ask you, once you leave this Facebook Home app, to set Action Launcher as your default launcher once again. That's the only drawback to using the app. So when you press Facebook Home, you're going to be able to use Facebook Home. And then you want to go home, you're going to have to select Action Launcher as your typical launcher every time you exit the Facebook Home app. So that's the one drawback to using Facebook Home as an app. But now you can use your typical launcher whenever you want. And if you want to use Facebook Home, you click into Facebook Home, you use it, and you go home, and you never have to see Facebook Home unless you want to. So that's how to use Facebook Home as an app. And if you want to re-enable your lock screen, because we're not using Facebook Home as a lock screen, go back into No Lock and re-enable your lock screen. And this is what you're going to be greeted with when you open your phone. You're going to be greeted with your lock screen, and then your main screen. And when you press an app, you have your app, and you go back home. You never see Facebook Home ever, unless you click Facebook Home and use it. After you're done using it, when you exit the app, you just have to select Action Launcher as your default, and there you go. That's the way to bypass Facebook Home as being your default launcher. You can either set it as a lock screen replacement, you can use it in addition to your lock screen, or you can set it as an app. So those are 3 different ways that I discovered to use Facebook Home as a secondary app rather than your primary app.